Anne was about 8 years old when she started becoming aware of this dream of hers to be a teacher, to get into education. But it was quite a bit of a different thing of her experience of journeying into education. When she was 14 years old, her dad was walking home from work and he was accosted by some people robbing him who then killed him. And you can imagine the tragedy of a teenage girl losing her father in such a violent way. And her mother did not take this very well. She basically had a breakdown. Probably, one could say, was unable to function very well because of her grief and depression, and really did not function very well the rest of her adult life. And also lost a couple of her brothers as she was growing up, one to sickness, and one there was a fire at the home in which he died. So lots of tragedy in her own life. And then her own health issues. She had issues with her own digestive system, and for most of her life she could only eat like watery soups and soft foods. It was not until she was 25 years old that she had the ability to move out of the house and then to pursue her dream of being a teacher. She got involved in that, was very successful, and then was asked to move more into the administrative role. And got involved with an organization that was very innovative about trying to educate children. She was a part of even opening many new schools. And yet, she encountered once again a boss who did not like so much what she was doing and pretty much just liked things his way, and insisted that she take on his set of rules that she could not follow, and she basically said no to him, and then she was subsequently fired. Now, he had his own mental health issues because quickly after that, his superiors said no. He was having problems with all the leadership in the organization, and so she was reinstated. And so through all these challenges of tragedy and health and living out her dream, and yet having her issues on a professional level, through all this, she just had a faith in God that this is what she was called to, and that God was taking care of everything as she moved along. Today we hear from the prophet Habakkuk. I got to talk about him because it's the only time in the 3-year cycle we hear any passage from this what's called the minor prophet, the prophets in the Old Testament that have smaller books and minor roles. But he has something important to say. He's watching this injustice of the leadership, in his case, of the people that are suffering from oppression. And he cries out to God. It's what we call a lament. And he says, God, do you not notice what's happening? Do you not care for your people? Are you going to do something about this? Are you even able to do something about this? It's a great prayer. It's very honest, very authentic. And God has a reply for her, to them, to Habakkuk. He says, yes, it might be even delayed, but yes, I see what's happening. And in this case, he's going to send the Chaldeans to take care of those who are not just, mostly the leadership. And then he says, but the just will live because of their faith. And this is the invitation for us, that when things get difficult around us, do we really believe that God is in charge? That God's got this? That he's handling things? Even if it seems like his timing isn't always what we expect or hope for. But the way that faith is used in this particular passage is a little different than we might think of it. We usually think of faith sort of in a moment. Do I trust God in this moment? And the way that Habakkuk is referring to it is it's more of a lifestyle. It's more of a sort of an ongoing reality in our life. It's not just in a moment or reacting to a certain situation or circumstance. As a lifestyle, it's a whole attitude. It's a whole mindset. And then out of that, it's a way that we're invited to live. Faith in terms of being faithful, a faithfulness that says that no matter what's happening, I really do believe in God's providence, that God is really in charge, that he notices even when his people are suffering, that he notices and is doing something about it, and that the just will live. When Jesus says, kind of piggybacking on this, if you only had faith the size of a mustard seed, which can grow and force out the mulberry tree into the ocean. If we just have this small sense of an ongoing faithfulness, a lifestyle of following Jesus and trusting the Lord in everything that's going on in our life. This faith lifestyle doesn't have to be big, but can do tremendous things. And that when we live this lifestyle, we can trust the Lord because even though we are his servants and we can't really do much, and by the way, the servants, really it's almost like they should be called slaves. And that doesn't sound very enticing, but what Jesus is trying to say is the slaves are still a part of the household. They're safe within this world of the master. And if you're living in the world of the master, even though you're serving him and are unprofitable because there's so much we can't do, that the master is in charge. He's got us. He's taking care of things. And I think Anne's story is so instructive for us, because a lot of the challenges that she dealt with personally, and certainly in the lives of the people around her, had to do with challenges of mental illness. That when you're trying to deal with someone or yourself with anxiety or depression, it's very hard to negotiate that. And to even figure out, like, how do we deal with this? That oftentimes it's not even clear what's happening, especially when somebody might be suffering from an alcohol or drug addiction, which oftentimes is medicating and masking this underlying disease that a person is really suffering from. And the faithfulness that it takes to say that God is in charge, and that each and every day, trusting in the Lord, trusting in good care, trusting in all the ways that love can nurture and in small ways help grow and help people to heal and to live well. Anne trusted in God's providence, and it always served her and helped her through in this lifestyle of faith. And the lifestyle of faith that we're entrusted to live will help us through any of the challenges that we have or that we're trying to help others walk through. And that's why we come each and every Sunday on the Lord's Day, and we see Jesus, who is the ultimate model of giving himself away in trust of the Lord in his whole life, not just lifestyle of faith. And then in God's time, which was 3 days, he was raised up. And that we are raised up in this incredible life of grace and the power of God that works in us. And that we come and celebrate the resurrection of the Lord each Lord's Day so that we can have a strengthening in our lifestyle of faith. And that we gather with all the angels and the saints and asking them to pray for us. Especially saints like Anne, whose life story sounds very modern and is very much similar to what many of us can experience. The only thing that's a little different is that she came to this state 185 years ago, almost to the day. She immigrated from France, and that her boss that she had lots of trouble with was the Bishop of Vincennes, who was asked by the Pope right after she was excommunicated by him, because he had trouble with his priests as well, to be reinstated and for her to continue with her work with her sisters, the Sisters of Providence. And so we invoke all the saints to be models of faithfulness for us as we gather with them in praise and worship, and especially ask our first Hoosier saint, and know her as a different name, Saint Mother Theodore Garrett, pray for us.